Greetings and welcome to another video by Sir Mike the Hedge Knight. The September 2025 event calendar. So for those that don't know, there's a lot of information on the official website, and I rarely go there. However, you can also get this information by going to the official Discord for Game of Thrones Legends, and they'll typically post like a picture and a link to the official website. Patch updates are here, and there's some good information here. And it's something that I wish I got into a little bit earlier, because if you know what's coming, say you've got 72 green tokens and you're about to spend them on a summon, but then you see, oh, there's a summon coming up in a couple of weeks that's better for me or a little more important. So that's one thing that helps. Another is, and I'm not sure how they're going to do this, is in the spring, there was a spring festival where there were some different summons with boosted drop rates. Some used purple tokens. There was one that used gold, I think it was for Daenerys and Rhaenyra, which was nice. Then there was some July 4th summons that were special. Then there was the anniversary event. And this is where you get that information. Specifically, the anniversary event, they listed what the summons would be every day for 2 weeks. That's 14 days worth of information so that you could then plot out where to spend your tokens. Why am I getting into this? That's ancient history. I'm curious and hopeful that if they did a spring festival, perhaps they'll do a fall festival, and perhaps they even do something around the holidays. It's nice to be surprised as well, but this is coming from an angle of, do I spend my tokens or not? And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video looking at the 4 events coming in September. Well, these are very familiar to us: Rook's Rest, Rob's War, Battle of the Bastards, Dragon Egg Quest. Nothing new. So not too much helpful there. They also talk about the Gold Road. So for you light spenders, I said in my initial video, from what I gather, the best value if you're going to spend money, the best value in the game is the Gold Road Pass. So the real value is, do you need those legendary shards? So we're currently in the Gold Road for Sunfire, but they are giving us a heads up as to what legendary champion will be featured in the next Gold Road, and it's Ned Stark. I would almost advise against this, because you can get Ned Stark in the daily color summon. Every 5 days they rotate. Every day they rotate a color. Every 5 days the same color comes back. They use the purple grand summon tokens. Those are fairly easy to come by. You can amass them quickly, especially if you're progressing through the tower. Now the tower, the Crown's Challenge, that's going to close in a couple of days. Then I think the standard is they take 7 days off, and then they come back, and you could start earning your silver and red and purple and some green tokens and some skill books all over again. So do I want to spend money getting shards of Ned Stark when I could probably just get a bunch of purple tokens and chase him down for free? Again, everyone's appetite for spending will be different, but if you're trying to not go overboard, and you only want to you want to carefully choose where you're spending your money, I do advocate the Gold Road. But Gold Road for Ned, boy, I'd rather have the Gold Road for a character that's a little bit rarer, a little bit harder to come by. Someone that you need either event tokens for or the green splendid summoning tokens for. It looks like now we have been a couple of weeks into this raid season, and they've been giving out the yellow Joffrey, and it looks like that's going to continue for another 2 weeks. So stock up on yellow Joffrey. They're not switching that. They did not release who's coming after September 15th. A little surprising, and we're going to see as we kind of scroll through this. There's a little bit of mystery in this update, that they're not giving full disclosure, which means something's coming. An unpaid debt. This is one of the 2 10-day long trials. One is, I think, into Essos, where you get some Jorah Mormont. This one is where you can get some shards of Walder Frey. Here's the events. We're just going to scroll right through. We're all familiar, I think, at this point with the events that have been around. Here's where it starts getting interesting. New summons. And this is why I think it's important to come to this page to see the new stuff. If they're just going to say, oh, Rob's War, Egg event, yeah, we know all that. We can kind of, once you've played the game a couple months, you sort of can anticipate which one's next. They're on a standard rotation. So there's going to be another Baratheon. I mean, I think there's going to be more Baratheons than stars at this point, and I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, I welcome it. I just don't understand. The Lannisters need help. There's other factions that are, they're basically broken. They don't have enough members, so they just love the Baratheons. So at least it's not a duplicate name, Gendry, or is it Gendry? I forget how he pronounces it in the show. So the new summon, the Bull summon. So he's going to be coming for a couple of weeks. There'll be a gold only summon, and there'll also be a mixed summon where you could use green tokens. There'll probably be a rate up for Gendry, along with Beric Dondarrion, Arya Stark from Winterfell returned. I believe that's the purple Arya, and the old Stannis Baratheon. Then look at this. There were rumors in previous updates that they are introducing a new faction into the game, and I was really curious, how do you put a new faction into the game? You can't just do one character at a time, because that's not, how do you build? It'll take weeks or months to build up that faction. And yeah, they're doing one character at a time. So I suppose I guess there'll be some commons and epics, maybe. How are they going to get them to us? Are they just going to add them to the pool and you just slowly get them over time, and like using your red tokens, like you'll pick up a couple I'm not sure. What will the new faction do? Not sure, but they have introduced some new mechanics recently, power and durability. Maybe they do something with power and durability, possibly. And they're not quite releasing the name, but it looks like they're doing these summons 7 days at a time. So I guess every week they're going to pop out a new Blacks legendary champion. Now, the Blacks, we've got the Greens in the game from House of Dragon, and I guess the Blacks are the family that opposes them. Well, that was like Rhaenyra is in there. We have a Rhaenyra. She's already a Targaryen. So I hope they don't switch her from Targaryen to the Blacks. They'll probably just make a new Rhaenyra at some point. So, that remains to be seen. In the tower, in the Great Pit of Daznak, there are two symbols that look very similar. There's a Targaryen symbol and a Blacks symbol, and they're like almost identical. And it kind of was silly because that's been in there for months, that symbol, and there was no Blacks faction in the game. So now there will be. So the first champion that they're going to release is going to be called the Red Queen. Maybe that's a new Rhaenyra, I suppose. And then the one after that, from the end of September running into October, is the Queen That Never Was, from House of the Dragon show. I think that's Rhaenys, I think her name was. It was the older member of the Targaryen family, or now the Blacks faction. So that sounds like a new character is coming. And they're not even giving us the actual name of the character, much less who will be in the mixed summon. But interesting times ahead. Brand new faction into the game. I would have preferred that they fix the factions in the game that are sort of, underwhelming or just not complete before launching a brand new faction. Because now you're just going to have more incomplete factions. It's going to take a very long time to fill them up. And then the last thing that they go over, and this is a little bit interesting as well, is the weekly summons, which is not the red token summon, not the daily color summon that uses purple tokens, but they give you this in advance. Every month they tell you every week what summons are coming that you require the green splendid summoning tokens. But this month they only give you 1 week. Now this one we see here, A Wedding for the Ages, is probably the worst summon in the game. It requires green splendid summoning tokens and gives you characters you can get elsewhere. Joffrey Baratheon, Protector of the Realm, that's the yellow Joffrey. He's currently in raid, so we're all stocking up a little on him as it is. But he's also available in the daily color summon for the color gold. So purple tokens are less valuable than green. You don't want to spend green tokens on a champion you can get with purple tokens. And Marjorie Tyrell, who is in the daily green summon, so every 5 days using purple tokens to get her. And I think you can also get some shards of her out of the red token, which is very rare. 1% drops to get legendaries on those reds, but how many reds, you get a couple hundred red tokens a month. So to spend green tokens on those two, really not good. Some updates to the weekly summons are coming this month. Stay tuned for more information and some new summons on September 8th. Oh, and there is, you know what? There is, I hadn't even noticed this until just now. In addition, keep an eye out for the Harvest Festival offers coming at the end, toward the end of this month. Wow, so I thought that if they did a fall festival, it would be in October. Sounds like it's going to be at the end of September. So let's talk about both these things. They're changing summons after the first week of September. Now, there was some talk a few weeks ago that they might be changing. They might have been changing, like, you know how when you do 80 summons, you get 15 free shards of someone? I don't remember which update it was. It might have been July. I feel like it was a couple months ago at this point that they were talking about making a change to that. And when they changed it, they were going to take away people's progress toward that 80. So if perhaps if someone came up that you like, let's just use this Westeros Conqueror that's coming up, Red Daenerys and Grey Worm. Say you got 50 of that 80, and you're like, all right, well, when it comes back, I'll do the other 30 because I don't have enough green tokens right now. Well, at the time they announced it, there was some talk of, well, they're going to, because they're changing it, they're going to erase that progress. There was a lot of pushback. And, within a day or two, they made a statement, yeah, we're not changing anything yet. Well, it sounds like they had planned to do that. So they gave us a little bit of warning. And again, that's why it's good to come to the site or go to the official Discord and see these things because you're not going to see them in game. Once in a while, you'll get an in-game mail with a little bit of information, but by then sometimes it's too late. You kind of want to know what's coming so that you don't make that mistake. Like let's say you spend 50 or 60, or I should say 45 or 54 green splendid summoning tokens, you're building toward that 15 bonus, and then all of a sudden they wipe away progress, you'd be very upset. So ever since they made that announcement, I'm very hesitant to do a summon, unless it's an event summon, like Battle of Blackwater, Egg Event. Those tokens I use as I get them. I don't think they're wiping those out anytime soon, the progress there. But I don't like doing, 10x, 20x, 30. I wait until I have 72 tokens so I could do 80 summons to get my 15 bonus. And I don't want to have any progress left over waiting for the following month because what if that progress disappears? So I don't know for sure that that's coming, but something is coming in a week. There's going to be some new stuff. Now, they've added a lot of new characters to the game. Now, we just saw in Battle of Blackwater that 3 of those characters are now event, I believe, going to be event only. New Stannis, new Tyrion, and new Davos. Sounds like those won't be in summons, I would assume, that you can get with green summoning tokens. Probably you can only get them during that event, just like all the other event characters, I would assume. So will they remove progress? Not sure. Are they going to start adding some of these other characters? They've already added Meryn Trant, who's another new character, and Blue Joffrey, who's a relatively new character. So they had an Arya's List summon, which I think is expiring in a couple hours. That was Arya and the new Hound, Sandor Clegane, the purple legendary Sandor Clegane, who is also somewhat, at this point, I don't know if he's new anymore. He's about 3-4 months old, but newish. So the two of them were in a summon together. All of a sudden, they just brought it back last week. Meryn Trant is in there, and I said, "Oh man, Blue Joffrey's important to me, and I only want it. I don't want 3 legendaries in the summon unless I need at least 2 of them, if not all 3. But I'm not building Meryn Trant, and I'm not building the Purple Hound. So now it's going to be more difficult. They're diluting Blue Joffrey. So I wasn't happy about that. So it sounds like they may start, either they're going to make brand new summons, they're going to, or they're going to dilute summons by sticking a 3rd or hopefully not a 4th legendary into some of these summons. So that is something to look out for, but more important, and I'm glad I experienced this while making the video. I totally missed this when I looked at this the other day. The Harvest Festival coming toward the end of the month, and wow, like I have spent a lot of my summoning tokens. When we got to the anniversary event, there's some good summons in there with rate ups and 20% drop rates and such, and that's how you really round out your roster. Now that we're in War of the Three Banners, Alliance Wars, you got to field 4 teams, and I've got one good team, and then I got another team that's like kind of okay, and another team that's a little weak but has good synergy, and then I have a team that's like whatever's left. So rounding out the roster, building up characters that you wouldn't normally use. Well, now we're going to be using them for Alliance Wars. Sounds like Alliance Wars, they've, in theory, they fixed all the bugs, or they think they fixed all the bugs. And it's going to be a weekly thing. So, you know, at some point, you still got to get your primary team to a point of strength that you're happy with, that you do well in raid, and you can cut through the campaign. By the way, there was another update talking about changes to the campaign that are coming soon as well. It is not in this piece of news, but they mentioned that they're going to do an overhaul to the campaign. Now, I don't know, are they going to reset chapters so you can go back through them? You know, because if you've completed the campaign and gotten all the chapter rewards, if they make new chapter rewards, then well, you know, penalizes people that already completed the campaign. So not sure how they're going to do that, or are they going to just add a fourth tier, like a Kingslayer tier to the campaign? That would be the easiest thing to do. So it's new for everyone. They talked about a chance, probably a very remote chance, a chance in the campaign of getting legendary gear. They talked about getting legendary shards. So they're definitely going to do an overhaul to the campaign. That's coming as well. But this Harvest Festival, if you take nothing, if you've listened this long, and you probably didn't because you're like, you know, yes, sir, Mike, I can read this too. I'm aware of it. I read it. Nothing new here. Well, I hope you didn't skip over this last sentence here like I did. If the Harvest Festival is coming in, let's say 3 or 4 weeks, it's probably going to be a few summons. Now, I remember the Spring Festival. Most of the special summons that came out required green Splendid Summoning tokens, but I think there was one that required the purple Grand Summoning tokens. And again, those are the ones that are easy to get and generally not very valuable. And if I recall, just like in the anniversary event, they came out with a summon where you were able to use those tokens to get characters that are more difficult to come by, generally event characters or characters you needed a green Splendid Summoning tokens to get. So, and then there was a summon that required gold. So my advice would be start stocking up. Maybe, and again, do what you will, but I think I'm at this point now, I am not going to spend a single green or purple token. I'm probably not going to, I've got a decent amount of gold saved up. I'm probably not going to spend any gold either. Now, I was hoping to save up to get to 28,000 one day so that when they release a new character, I could just unload, get the 15 free shards, maybe get to like close to 5-star type of thing. So I'm glad I have a bunch of gold, but I don't have a lot of green and purple tokens. So my recommendation would be, unless you really need a character, you really need to do a summon, maybe stock up because there could be some really good opportunities in the Harvest Festival at the end of this month. So that's all I've got. Comment below. And again, can't express enough. I wish 3, 4, 5 months ago, when I really started getting into the game, I wish I paid more attention to the Discord and the official website to see news like this because some of these summons or some of these things happened and I said, oh, but I just spent all my tokens. I wish I knew I could have saved up. So as you can see, good idea here to at least you've got the information. Then you can make a decision. Do I want to spend now or do I want to save up? Hope you enjoyed the video. Comment below and we will see you soon.